What's up, everybody? It's the Power Rankings Podcast, aka the Power Rankings Show. I'm your host, Elliot Harrison, and I would say I'm pleased to be joined by @Marcus_Mosher, but I'm coming in hot now because of what you told me. Oh my gosh.
I just love that we get Elliot yelling at clouds like before the show. I wish you guys could hear it. It's so much fun.
It's so dumb. Like the NFL just cannot leave its product alone. Just quit ruining the damn product. Oh my gosh. Ugh. Sorry.
Speaking of which, listen to our NFL podcast. It's really.
I asked Marcus before the show. I said, "Give me one really great. Give me all the great changes from the game since say '93." I just picked a random year. Okay, probably because we did movies from '93. You know what Marcus came up with? Well, there's no horse collar tackle anymore. Hey,
true.
You know what? I applaud that. Great, but the latest thing now, the networks are just going to carry a hodgepodge of games. It's no longer going to be one conference on one channel, another because Fox whined that the NFC sucks. And they're worried about it used to be so great. You knew what games were going to be on what network. Then they started messing with it a few years ago. And what was great about that was not only you as a viewer knew if I grew up in Dallas. So if I'm a Cowboy fan, I watch the Cowboy game on CBS, which then became Fox with the NFC. And if I want to catch a Chargers game or whatever, I know that I can turn it on NBC late in the afternoon. It'll probably be Chargers, Raiders, Seahawks, Broncos. This is back when the Seahawks were in the AFC. The other thing that did is it made it so that the announcers knew these teams really, really well. Okay. So like Don Criqui and Bob Trumpy were doing Cleveland Browns and Broncos games and Raiders games all the time. They knew those teams really well. Pat Summerall and John Madden knew Washington, San Francisco, the Giants, the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Rams really, really well. Now you're going to have a different announcing team on a different game every week. They're not going to know as much. You're not going to know what channel your game's on. It's just going to be a big mismatch based on what they think you want to see. And when you're in Los Angeles, this really stinks because that means that not only am I going to have to watch the the Rams and Chargers stink up the joint, but then I'm going to see the Chargers on Fox where the announcers don't even know the Chargers personnel that well. Okay. I'm done.
Can I give you another good rule change just to make you feel better?
Rant over.
Moving the extra point back was a good idea by the NFL. Just saying.
Okay. It'd be like if your wife or your husband was on you for 3 weeks straight and you didn't say anything. And then finally you left one errant sock in the hallway because it dropped when you were carrying the clothes from the dryer to the bedroom. And your wife comes and yells at you about it. And you just had enough, like how many dumb little tweaks have we had in the last few years? 7-game super wild card.
I don't mind that
crap. One. 17 game schedule. Hey, why don't we do 18? We can make more. We can make more money. When does it stop?
That reminds me of 7-minute abs from Something About Mary.
Yes. It's 7-minute abs. Come on, help me out. What are some other dumb things that we've changed? I mean, the instant replay. Oh, the catch rule would be the zenith of this, right? This is the zenith of this.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's others that I can't think right now. If you guys can think of any other dumb things, please tell me. Thursday Night Football. Anyway, okay, I'm done. I like the kickoff game. I think the kickoff game was cool.
Yeah,
I don't not like it.
Yeah,
it's fine. It's fine. Yeah.
All right. Having said that, we're going to be talking about every NFL team and why we're excited to watch them this year.
This is your fault.
Sorry, it's just I wanted you to get excited.
Yeah, I am excited. So yeah, we're doing an all 32 podcast. Marcus got the odds. Who did we use for our Super Bowl odds?
We got betonline.ag. I think they have the best lines out right now. And we're going to go run through every single team.
All right. So we're going to definitely hit your favorite team. We are going to start. I'm assuming we're starting with like worst to first kind of deal.
Yep.
Are we doing it standings wise or odds wise?
Odds wise. So let's jump right into it. Houston Texans.
Okay.
150-1 to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I don't know that that's high enough. So, or would you call that low enough? What would you call that?
I think it's low enough. Low enough. I do think they've added some good veterans this offseason that I like. Denzel Perryman, Dalton Schultz, Devin Singletary. I think they're going to be just a more competitive team than they were last year.
You know what their best offseason ad was?
I'm gonna guess D'Amico Ryans.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. 31.
Next one. 150 to 1. Arizona Cardinals. Boy, this team is bad. Really bad.
Yeah, I almost think Houston will be better than Arizona this year. Is that a bad thing to say? Could we bet on that? Do we have any odds on? Well, I guess the way that Bet Online sees it, Vegas sees it, is that these teams are about equal in ilk. But they've got a quarterback problem too, and it's a quarterback problem of a different kind.
Yeah, is Colt McCoy going to be their week 1 starting quarterback?
Oh my gosh, do you think?
Definitely.
My hair's wet. Sorry, I keep putzing with it.
Yeah,
I'm not a big believer in the Cardinals. Speaking of things that should never been tweaked, their uniforms. But see, I'm hot now. Everything's going to be colored through this tint.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Colts 125 to 1. Catch them on Fox in week 1.
Yes, great. Well, I think the Colts definitely have some room for improvement. Do you hate their offseason though?
What's their offseason? What have they done?
That's kind of my point.
Yeah.
I kind of like the idea of, hey, let's not panic. Let's not go make a flurry of moves. Let's approach the draft and then see where we are from there.
I agree.
Look, it's fun to fix a team through free agency. It's fun to talk about, but is that always the best way to get your team elevated? No.
And they need to kind of reset some of their cap stuff anyway. So this is fine.
Yes.
They got to get the quarterback right. I mean, that's the most important thing for them this offseason.
Speaking of.
Yeah. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 100 to 1.
Yeah, I mean, is it possible that Baker Mayfield could have a real? I don't know if you'd call it a career resurrection. He's never really had a great year. He had a couple of good ones. I'd say his rookie year was a good year. I'd say 2020 was a good year. But
is there any?
They're just hurting in certain spots. I'm glad they brought Levante David back. That was a big move. But
is there any chance that this is our 2022 Seahawks where you get Baker in here, nobody has any expectations with a bunch of veterans and they just win 9 games and steal the division?
Oh, maybe. You know what I would love? You know what I love? They go 8-9. They make the wild card, okay, because of the 7th team, because we added a 7th team and it's so great. Wait, and no, I actually have a better scenario for you. They clinch a playoff spot in week 18 because we love week 18. Then they're the 7th team to make the playoffs so that they can participate in super wildcard weekend on a game that you can all see on CBS
or on Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime.
I don't know if this is the best time to tell you this news, but the NFL is considering an option where if a division winner has a losing record and a wildcard team has at least 4 more wins than that division wildcard team, the game would be played at the wildcard team and not at the division winner home. That's true, by the way.
Okie dokie. I mean, why don't we just junk it all and just go with seeding if you're going to start going that route? But hey, whatever. I'm just one man. Next team.
Washington Commanders. They are 8,000 to 1. Sorry, plus 8,000 or 80 to 1 to win the Super Bowl.
That seems a little bit unfair. I mean, isn't 80 to 1 a little harsh?
They do play in a division that had 3 playoff teams last year. So for them to win a Super Bowl, they've got to probably work their way through the wild card and then beat a pretty good AFC team.
This is a team that's got pretty good weapons. They've got a young running back that I think is going to be really good. They still have a pretty solid defense that's at least viable. I think 80 to 1 is a little too harsh for this group.
All right. Titans, same thing, 80 to 1.
Ditto. I think your coach here is too good to be 80 to 1. I know the Titans have some major losses and some notable veteran losses. Taylor Lewan being kind of the most notable because he had been there his whole career. Robert Woods obviously gone. But they're a much weaker team than they have been in years past.
And it sounds like they could be cutting Kevin Byard in the upcoming days. This team is not going to be very good.
He'll have suitors.
Yeah, absolutely. Atlanta Falcons, 75 to 1 in a pretty weak division.
There's a team. Wouldn't that be something if they pick up Kevin Byard and they had Bates and Byard in that secondary? Their defensive front, they were trying to get Calais Campbell, or at least they had him for a visit. Maybe Atlanta is going to be better than we thought. Obviously much of it hinges on Ritter. Would you say it's 75 to 1?
75 to 1.
That feels fair. I think that's the one I like the best so far.
Okay. Seattle Seahawks, 66-1.
Again, I think this is a little harsh. This is a team that had a pretty good year, but maybe they're expecting a regression from Geno Smith. But, Pete Carroll has proven a lot of people wrong starting with last year. Like, do I think Seattle's going to win the Super Bowl? No. Yeah. Now, these are odds to win the Super Bowl, not
just to win the Super Bowl. Yep.
Yeah. I get it. It just feels a little harsh.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to be 66-1.
I agree. Next one here at number 24, the Pittsburgh Steelers, 66-1. I've got a stat for you. Do you know Mike Tomlin has never had a losing record?
See, you're going to join me in this parade if they decide to make a Mike Tomlin award to have on awards night, because awards night is such an amazing thing. I don't know that I'd be a football fan if they didn't have NFL honors. Honestly, I don't think I could have lived without that amazing change that they've made. Could they have a Mike Tomlin award for the head coach that never, I think you're too weak at quarterback. I'm a little concerned about the defense here as well. I think Cam Sutton was a loss for this team, a great addition for Detroit. I don't have a problem with this.
Yeah, I think they got a little bit older on defense, and that's normally not what you want to do. But we know them; they're going to be competitive, but probably not competitive enough.
Tough division.
Yeah. Carolina Panthers. They are at 60-1 to win the Super Bowl.
I'm surprised Pittsburgh's lower than they are.
It's got to just be the conference, right?
Yeah. Well, what they're thinking is, look, if you have a better chance to emerge from your division, which Carolina is in the weakest division, also in the weakest conference. Correct. So I get it from that standpoint, but I think they're one of the weakest teams in the league. What about New England? Did we skip over them?
Oh, did we skip over New England? Yeah, that's fine. New England, 66-1. That's fine.
So New England's also 66-1 with Pittsburgh. I think this is too low. If I'm tipping my hat to the coach, I am. Are you done with Mac Jones?
No, I just thought last year he just got such an unfair shot with Matt Patricia and Joe Judge calling plays. I think this year with Bill O'Brien, I expect him to take a pretty big leap.
And I wouldn't say this is one of the strongest team in the league at the skill positions either. No. So, in fact, I'd put them in the bottom 10, which is probably one of the reasons they're ranked here. That's more of a Mac Jones conversation. Okay, let's hop back over Carolina and go to 21.
The Las Vegas Raiders, 50-1.
Okay. This feels about right. The Raiders did not have a good year last year. There's a lot of grumbling about Josh McDaniels and that this is who he is, and that all those things about him having matured and that he's a different guy now or whatever. It's hard to say. Now, I heard maybe you heard something different. You cover this team for USA Today, that the Derek Carr situation was actually handled better than you would think between coach and quarterback. But that's not really saying anything about the odds. And the fact is they are the fourth best team in the AFC West. Would you say they're in the best division in the best conference? There you go.
Yes. Yeah. I think the Raiders will be competitive, like 7 to 8 wins, but not a real threat at all to make the playoffs. So,
but you know what we could do? I'm sorry to cut you off, but what we could do is we could go to an 8-team conference layout. Call it super duper wild card weekend, and then maybe put it on LinkedIn where people can connect as they're watching.
I'd rather watch it on OnlyFans. Next one, Green Bay Packers, 50-1.
In the dark by yourself. 50-1 for Green Bay. There's so much unknown here. How do you even bet on that unless you're betting this for total fun? Because you have no idea what you're going to get from Jordan Love. Again, this is a team that at the skill positions, they're okay. They're okay. Maybe Christian Watson takes a big step forward. He had a nice rookie year, but he started off, very slow, obviously. I think this is about right. Do you have any issue with this one?
I think it feels a little low just because I do think they can really run the ball, and I think their defense is pretty good, but I don't know how much higher I would put them. I would put them over the next couple teams that we're going over, I think. The
problem is, for me, at least, is Green Bay has had so many good teams over the last 10, 12 years. And how many Super Bowls have they gone to?
One.
The whole Lambeau mystique has not worked in their favor, and that's with Aaron Rodgers. Is it going to be any better with, at this point, an inferior player, we think?
Probably. All right, next one. Chicago Bears, also at 50-1.
little surprised that the Bears and Packers are even Steven. Now, the Bears were kind of the anti-Colts. They were very active in this free agency period. They spent a lot of money. They had a lot of money to spend. I mean, didn't the Bears have some of the most room?
Over 100 million of cap
space? I believe
yep.
the Bears were either the first or second team in terms of cap space this year. Be interesting what Matt Eberflus can do, but 50-1, I think, is actually generous for this.
Unless you have Justin Fields take that Jalen Hurts leap, like in year 3, like
in
all
a weak
of a sudden,
conference.
In a weak conference, all of a sudden he's one of the 2 or 3 best quarterbacks in the conference. Maybe, but even then, I'm not betting on them.
The problem are the weapons, though, bud. That's the problem. At least Jalen Hurts had a lot to work with.
Well, do you like their weapons now though, with DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, and Chase Claypool?
It's not bad. It's not bad, but DJ Moore is a good player. I'm not putting him in the great player.
He's not AJ Brown.
Yeah. There's also running back and tight end and offensive line and all of this as well. Yeah. Philadelphia, I think, was much stronger at all those spots. So it's a little generous to me, but it's okay. I'm not totally against it.
The next one, and I could not disagree more with these odds. The Los Angeles Rams are 45-1 to win the Super Bowl.
I think this is completely a nod to Sean McVay and the hope of Matt Stafford. 45-1. I'm going to guess you think that's too generous for them.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to read you their starters on defense, not named Aaron Donald right now. Seriously. Yeah, Jonah Williams, Bobby Brown, Kerr Thomas, Ernest Jones, Christian Roseboom, Michael Hoyt, Deion Kendrick, Jordan Fuller, Russ Yeast, Robert Rochelle, and Kobe Durant.
Did you like the Bobby Brown song, Every Little Step I Make?
I like that song a lot better than I like the personnel on this defense. It's bad. It is bad.
I mean, it was a big hit. Like, and I want to say 89 or 90. Every little step I make, you will. It was catchy tune.
So bad.
That is that's got to be a bottom 2 or 3 unit in terms of personnel. Of course, Aaron Donald is a great elixir for a lot, but he can't make up for that. They need pass rush. That's what they need. They need edge rush. Let's go to the Giants.
Yeah, Giants 40-1.
Okay, so the Giants, speaking of 40, they brought back Daniel Jones for about that per year. Yep. I think it was exactly that per year. I honestly think you could go a little bit better for the Giants here. The issue is they're in a really good division, but they are in a weak NFC. And I think the Giants have a little bit better personnel than people maybe give them credit for. I could go 35-1 on the Giants as opposed to 40.
I kind of thought 40 was high when I initially saw that.
Well, I think
they are a prime candidate for regression on both sides of the ball. The schedule is pretty hard this year.
We disagreed on this team last year.
It's fun, right? It's fun. New Orleans Saints. We both liked this team a lot last year.
Yes, we both wrong on this.
Yeah. 40-1. Kind of like those odds.
Yeah, this feels about right. Any concerns about Dennis Allen?
Yeah, I mean, he's not good, but the roster's pretty good.
Yeah, I would call that a concern. Yeah, he's not good. Did you like the Derek Carr move?
It feels like an upgrade over Andy Dalton. I don't know how much of an upgrade, but it is an upgrade. You're hoping to get Michael Thomas back, Chris Olave in year 2. I mean, you look at this division, why couldn't they win 11 games and host a team like the Giants in round 1?
Are you wondering a little bit about the running back position for this team?
I'm wondering if the running back is going to be available to play.
Yeah, Alvin Kamara. One thing Derek Carr had was pretty good running backs with the Raiders. He had Josh Jacobs, and he had, believe it or not, a still effective Marshawn Lynch when they used him. They kind of saved him a lot, but I thought he was effective for that team. Anyway, I think these odds are about right.
Next one, same odds. Minnesota Vikings 40-1.
Okay, now this is a little low for them. I would like to see Minnesota a little better, like 35-1 or 30-1. And the reason being, again, the NFC is weak. And the NFC North, in terms of the best, what was the best team in the division, is weaker in Green Bay. Now, Detroit is better. And I can see right now, I'm looking at the rundown on Brinks. Detroit is not on here. So that means Detroit's in the top 8 for Super Bowl odds, which makes me very, very giddy. And Marcus probably frowny face. Am I wrong here if I said 30-1 on the Vikings, given their division and their conference?
Yeah, I mean, they're probably going to win 10 games, even though we're going to hate watching them.
One of the best quarterbacks in the conference, too, regardless of what you think of Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I mean, and then one of the best receivers in the league. So, yeah, it's probably a good value. It's just I have no interest in betting on that at all.
Okay. This next team is interesting.
I mean, kind of. Denver Broncos, 40-1.
Again, maybe a little low, given all the moves they've made, most notably getting Sean Payton. Now, the question here is quarterback. So actually, I don't think it's low because the way Russell Wilson played last year, you're not even getting into the playoffs. And they are in a very tough division where they're probably still the third best team in that division. I mean, Marcus, is this a wild card team? Let me just ask you that.
No.
So if you were putting odds on Broncos even being a playoff team, what would it be? 2-1?
No, I think it'd be closer to 50-50, but I would lean no.
Okay. I was going to go 180, bro. I wanted to really talk the talk.
No, I feels like they're a coin flip, but I just don't like this team. And remember, even last year, they lost to the Raiders in both games.
Like, for a coin flip that you could see on CBS or Fox or Amazon or LinkedIn or on Thursday night. Yeah, go ahead.
Next one, Cleveland Browns, 40-1.
I interrupted your poignant thought you were going to have to finish up the Broncos.
It wasn't that great.
Okay, what are the Browns?
40-1.
40-1. They've got a quarterback issue. And the quarterback issue is simply that Deshaun Watson just looked very, very rusty at the end of last year. This is another team where I don't know how I feel about their weapons outside. How much are they helping their quarterback? I know you like Njoku a lot. Obviously, Chubb is a fantastic running back. But outside, do you love this team?
I love Amari Cooper. And
exactly.
I like Donovan Peoples-Jones as the number 3, but it seems like Cleveland's being really proactive in trying to get that number 2 receiver. I actually think this is a bit of a value because what if Deshaun Watson, just hear me out, plays like a top 12 quarterback, which we've seen him do for most of his career? All of a sudden, this team is going to win 12 games. Like with that offensive line, that running game, and hopefully the defense being better with Jim Schwartz. I think this is the best bet for me of a team who got crappy quarterback play in the second half of the year. If they get good quarterback play, they're going to be fine.
Again, do you trust the head coach here?
I do. I actually like Kevin Stefanski quite a bit.
Okay. They just can't crap the bed in some of these games like they have.
Yes.
I'm thinking of the Charger game last year. I'm thinking of the Jets game last year where they should have had a couple of wins and they didn't. They've got to be able to close the deal. Similar to what you said about the Lions last year.
Yep.
Like we're just waiting on this team to be able to close the deal. But I'm not against your value play there, but I think this next team could be a really great value play if they're only at 12.
Yeah. 22-1 Miami Dolphins.
Now that's a big jump. So you're saying that Cleveland went from 40-1 to Miami to 22-1, and
Correct.
There's no teams in between them.
Correct.
Odds wise. Interesting. Yeah. I think Minnesota should have been tucked here. But I wouldn't take Minnesota 22-1, and I wouldn't put Minnesota and Cleveland or the Broncos or Saints for that matter, or Giants, all the teams we had at 40-1 up here with Miami. I think 22-1 is a value play. I was expecting to be frankly, probably 20-1 or under. This team had a really nice offseason, starting with the defensive coordinator, which we talked about on our last podcast.
This is really just a bet on Tua's health, right? If Tua plays 16 games or even 15 games next year, they're winning 11 games, right? Because this is going to be one of the best offenses in the league. We think the defense is going to be much improved. And if they win 11, 12 games, they can win their division. And
they can beat Buffalo.
We saw them almost beat Buffalo with Skylar Thompson last year in Buffalo. So it's just really a bet on Tua. And at 22-1, I don't mind it.
We saw them beat Buffalo in Miami early in the year.
Yep.
We also saw, was it Thursday night or Sunday night? I can't remember what game it was where they played in the regular season in Buffalo late in the year. Mostert had a fumble and Miami was running on them. And I really thought that game, kind of played out differently. I think Miami had a real chance in that game.
I agree.
All right, next team.
Our Los Angeles Chargers, 22-1.
Okay, so I'm glad they're not higher than Miami because you have them at 11 and Miami at 12. We did it based on, descending order of odds. I was going to say to you, I was all prepared to say to you, I don't think the Chargers are better than Miami. But the fact that they're both 22-1 feels very, very correct to me. Yep. I think these teams are similar in ilk. The only thing I like better for Miami is the division that they're in. I think they have a better chance of winning it. I think the Chargers.
Although that's a good division as well, though.
Yeah. We've got to see with the Jets. Now, the Chargers have the clear advantage at quarterback, but 21-21, are you taking the Chargers or Dolphins?
Oh, it's not even close. I'll take the Dolphins.
Exactly. So this is a tough one, but quarterback is so important. I think this is right where it should be.
I agree. I don't hate them at 22-1 because, hey, if Kellen Moore unlocks a part of Justin Herbert and that offense is just a lot better, why not?
I unlocked a lot of trophies last night in Assassin's Creed.
I still in Gran Turismo.
But I still can't figure out how to win the game.
It's all right.
Like I keep, I got up to the highest level. I leveled up to 50. That's the highest you could go. And I keep doing these like stupid missions where I have to keep having conversations with people. And I keep hitting I don't want to have long, lengthy conversation. I love Socrates. He's a great guy. They kind of give him a weird outfit in this game, but anyway, it's just, I just wanted to say that while you were talking about, unlocking.
That's fine. Jacksonville Jaguars 22-1, same odds as the Chargers and Dolphins.
Okay. I like what Jacksonville did last year. I do think this is an up and coming team. I do. And they're in a really weak division, which to me would be the only reason I would have them at the same odds as Miami and the Chargers. Otherwise, I think this is overrating them.
Yep.
And Minnesota and Jacksonville should both be around 30-1.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I could see Jacksonville very easily getting to 12 or 13 wins because, man, they should sweep their division. Like their division is awful. And if you get to 12 wins, there's a very good chance you're the number 1 or number 2 seed. And we saw last year with like the Eagles' path to the Super Bowl, sometimes just things play out really nicely for you. So I think Jacksonville's pretty good value right there. I'd much rather take them at 22-1 than taking the Baltimore Ravens at our next team at 22-1.
Yeah, I was just going to say the Eagles, though, personnel-wise, much better pass rush, could create mistakes and really take advantage of home field. I would have no problem seeing Kansas City or Miami or the Chargers or the Bengals go into Jacksonville and knock them out in the divisional round.
Correct.
Okay, but I don't hate it because of the division. All right, Baltimore, you said they are 20-1?
22-1. And I could not pay me to bet on that one.
Yeah, this is another one. I hate to say it again. I think this is another 30-1 for me. I think Baltimore and Minnesota should be on the same plane here. I think there's a lot of uncertainty with this team, and Cleveland's probably going to be better, and Cincinnati is a Super Bowl favorite in my opinion.
You could talk me to them being even lower. Like Lamar Jackson doesn't want to be there. They have no outside receivers. They have no proven pass rusher. They got an older roster. I don't understand that one at all.
Yeah, I'm nothing to add.
I don't get
about Baltimore.
Let's get our top 8 teams. Top 8 teams. You ready?
Yeah.
Your Detroit Lions, 20-1 to win the Super Bowl.
Wait a minute. We didn't answer some. Are we in or out on Ravens culture? We haven't answered that question.
I'm out right now.
Time.
I might be back in a little bit. Currently, I'm out.
All right. Are you in on Lions culture? Because I am all in.
I'm into a degree.
Oh my God, you're such a negative Nancy. About
No, it's like I think.
No, you were negative all year last year.
This is a contending, or not a contending. This is a playoff team, but not a contending team. There's a difference.
You bag on their quarterback, you bag on their free agent signings.
It's okay.
Don't you want to see these guys succeed?
It's fine.
And what are the odds?
They are 20-1.
20-1 feels right. That's a good. Do you have a problem with that?
No, I think that's right about where they should be.
Do you know what the craziest stat in sports is? All of sports.
Is it the Detroit Lions haven't won a playoff game in like 89 years?
The Lions won against San Francisco in 1957. They came back and won. They were 20 points down and they won the game. It was the biggest playoff comeback in history to that point. They traded Bobby Lane in the offseason. He said, you guys will never win another damn thing. And you know what? The Lions have won
Sir
one
Bobby
playoff
Lane.
game since they traded him. And that playoff game that they won was 1991 against Dallas. That was 32 years ago.
Yep. And speaking of Dallas, they are our next team here at number 7, 16-1 to win the Super Bowl.
We got to quit with this. Speaking of transitions, it's my fault. You're just following the leader at this
am.
point, following the bad example that I've set. And you're playing video games now. I know you never did that before.
Collecting football cards.
Okay, Dallas is 17-1.
16-1.
16-1. You know, honestly, that's a little low. I think this maybe should be 12-1, Marcus, because I think they can play with Philadelphia. They showed that they as much as you can't stand Cooper Rush, they played with Philadelphia with Cooper Rush, and they beat him with Dak Prescott. I don't think Dak will play as bad as he did against the 49ers again. I hope.
Which they were competitive against the 49ers in that game.
Right. Their quarterback played terrible, and they could have won that game. That tells you something about the quality of this team, and they've gotten better.
Yep.
You know, whether you love the Brandon Cook signing or trade or not, they got him on the cheap, and I love the Gilmore acquisition. I love it. And then they got LVE on the cheap. I mean, what has gone? This has been a stellar offseason for this group.
They also brought back Dante Fowler, so they have some of the most, the best edge depth in the league.
Donovan Wilson.
Yeah, I think 14-1 is kind of where I landed, but that's, I think, a little bit of value at 16-1. Next one, it's the New York Jets at number 6 at 12-1.
It's too high.
I 100% agree.
There's too much going against this team. This team should be 20 to 30-1. Put this in the 22-1 batch that we had. I can live with that a little bit, but you're saying it's 12-1 for these guys?
12-1. I mean, this is all baked in that Aaron Rodgers gets traded there, but what if something happens? Like, what if they can't agree to a deal, or Rodgers just decides to retire, or another team jumps in? You're getting absolutely no value on this Jets team at all right now.
Let's pretend they get Rodgers. I'm going to make the case with Aaron Rodgers that 12-1 is still way too high. Okay.
100% agree. Yes.
Here we go. Does he buy in? Okay. Like how much
does he go to an OTA?
Exactly. Robert Saleh seems like a no nonsense guy. How's that going to mesh? Number 2, he's going to be 40 years old. Okay. Doesn't he turn 40 this year? I believe he does. Sure. How many players at 40 years old are not the same player that they used to be? We can't use the Tom Brady model and just retrofit it to everybody. Okay. Super young nucleus that had some locker room issues last year. Granted, it was, I think, a small sect of that locker room, but that can't be there either. Okay. You're in a division with Buffalo and Miami. So you got to get through those guys.
And New England.
You got a tournament. Yeah. And then you got a tournament where, I don't know, my voice cracked there. You got a tournament where you have to beat Cincinnati. You've got to beat Kansas City. You got to potentially beat the Chargers. Are the Jets even better than the Jags at this point? Can you say that definitively? And Marcus froze. So I'm guessing Marcus says no on that. It's funny. I don't think Marcus has actually had the horrible weather like we have in LA. Our last podcast, I froze up because it's been absolutely pouring here every day. It's like almost every day it poured, and then the sun came out. It's the craziest thing. But just saying, going back to the Jets real quick, I don't know that the Jets, even with Aaron Rodgers, would be any better than the 5th best team in the division. Oh,
I'm back.
You're back and better than ever. What's going on?
So should I also update you about the Jets signing McCole Hardman to a 1-year deal?
I don't know. I just am glad you're back. I mean, I was going on about the weather. I said yes. So first of all, we got Hardman. Wait, I thought you said he signed with the Browns.
That was the initial tweet. He actually signed with the Jets. Okay.
So I think the Jets might be the 7th best team in the conference, even with Aaron Rodgers. I don't
think that's fair.
Thank goodness we have the expanded playoff format that I couldn't live without, that we could
super duper power wildcard weekend.
Yeah. Can we do the super duper power ranking show?
Sure. I think so.
And we'll add some tweaks. Okay.
Can we get to some other teams? I hate talking about the Jets.
Yeah. Let's go to the Bengals.
Bengals 11-1.
I didn't hate the change to the white helmet, white jersey. I actually thought that looked kind of cool. I have to be honest. But
Hard hitting
11 to
NFL
1
analysis right here from Elliot Harrison. Can't get it anywhere else.
Okay. I would pound this like crazy. And not only that, if we're just talking about odds to make the Super Bowl, I don't know what their odds to make the Super Bowl is. I would hit that all day. But I think 11 to 1, I think this might be the best odds I've heard yet up to this point. In terms of you as a bettor, Marcus, you want to lay $500 down. Tell me what odds are better than Bengals at 11 to 1 so far that we've covered. I thought Minnesota at 40 to 1 was pretty good for a better. They're underrated.
Yeah. I'm not convinced the Bengals got better this offseason. Like I agree. The upgrade from Orlando Brown to Jonah Williams is a big one, but they lost both of their safeties already. They lost Samaje Perine. Jonah Williams wants a trade. What have they done to dramatically improve that team yet?
Nothing to dramatically improve it. But here's the deal. This team has drafted pretty well.
They have.
Would you say that?
They have.
Okay. So they're probably trusting their scouting department. And this is not a team that's over the cap right now.
No.
They could still do something. You know, there's always those 4 or 5 stragglers, right? That go into the summer that can help a team. Maybe the Bengals get one of those guys. But I think along with Dallas and Minnesota, I like these odds the best that I've heard so far. If you're someone laying money down,
yes,
I don't like them in terms of, I don't think they're accurate. I mean, for you to actually capitalize on it.
All right. Final 4 teams. Philadelphia Eagles coming in at number 4. They are 10 to 1 to win the Super Bowl.
I like this one also. If you're laying your money down, this should be 8 to 1, I think, or maybe even 6 to 1. It's 10 to 1 sound. 6 to 1 might be a little high, but 10 to 1, I would be pounding this. They're in a weak conference. All right, let's look at the Eagles. They're in a division where they're clearly better than the Giants, clearly better than Washington, and they play their primary team they go against. Their quarterback has not stayed healthy 2 of the last 3 years. Are those all fair points?
Yes.
That team also lost their offensive coordinator, which I think was a bigger loss than Philadelphia losing their defensive coordinator, in my opinion.
I would agree.
San Francisco's without a real quarterback right now. We don't know what Trey Lance is going to be. That's your biggest competition in the conference. Other than that, is it fair to say that Detroit is the best team in the conference?
Probably. If you're projecting forward, I would agree.
Yeah. Doesn't 10 to 1 sound a little low?
Here's the reasons why I'm a little bit nervous about that number. They did lose both their offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator. They lost both starting safeties. They lost both starting linebackers. They lost Jaron Hargrave. They lost their starting right guard. They lost their starting running back. Like, they've just lost a lot of talent. Now, they do have a bunch of picks in this year's draft, so we'll see, but there's just no way that this team is going to be better than they were last year.
All right, let me push back on this just for a second, because this is one of the big teams. I'm actually surprised Philadelphia is not higher here. They drafted a defensive tackle, I think 13th overall last year.
Jordan Davis. Yep.
Yeah, that's what they're hoping on. One of those safeties was an okay player. The
Marcus
other
Epps.
safety is a really good player. But as you pointed out on our last podcast, other teams were all too willing to part with him.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
What am I missing? The defensive coordinator.
He's not great.
I think the offensive coordinator. I get you. I get you there.
The other thing with this team is it's pretty old, right? Like, you're relying on a lot of older veterans, including Jason Kelsey, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox. Both of your corners are over the age of 30.
Your elite right tackle is going into year 11 now.
And then on top of that, some of your best players have injury concerns. Like, AJ Brown has not been the model of health, at the wide receiver position. And some of their other pass rushers have had a hard time staying healthy. So I'm not saying the Eagles are going to be bad this year, because they're not. They're going to be the 1 or the 2 seed. I just don't see a way that they're better than they were last year.
I don't think a lot depends on the running back position, but Miles Sanders was still a loss. And, if Kenny Gainwell doesn't turn out to be what they're hoping, and he looks good, Boston Scott doesn't play the Giants every week, unfortunately. So, I could see it. I just think 10 to 1's too low, Marcus. It's too low. Okay.
All right. Next team, San Francisco 49ers, 9 to 1.
This is about right. I think personnel wise, starter wise, I know about the defections, in terms of their depth and some of their kind of secondary starters, but overall 21 on 21, this is as good a team as any team in the league. And Trey Lance is going to cause you some matchup problems, even if he isn't a great quarterback. This feels right.
I agree. I think they should be the favorites in the NFC. That roster's unbelievable. They have 3 quarterbacks now: Sam Darnold, Brock Purdy, and Trey Lance. And it's Kyle Shanahan, and you just know that they're going to be competitive every single year.
You just worry about all the assistants that he's lost. At some point, golly, he's lost some really great. He lost Robert Saleh, he lost Daniel, he lost D'Amico Ryans. Some great coaches, But hey, he keeps rolling on. Good for him.
Here's the next one that I do not understand at all.
Okay.
The Buffalo Bills at 9-1. I think that's way, way too high. How is this
so
team
many question marks?
How are they going to be better than they were last year?
Well, the issues I have, number one, your premier pass rusher had a major injury last year. And
on Thanksgiving.
Obviously an older player, talking about Von Miller. They lost Devin Singletary, who was a bit player for them, but they used him a lot. Gabe Davis was really inconsistent last year. I think everyone thought he was going to take off, including me, after that divisional round masterpiece against Kansas City. And he had some big drops last year. He was kind of hit or miss. And honestly, Josh Allen cannot be a giveaway machine. I'm with you. I would probably put Buffalo behind Philadelphia and San Francisco, or at least even with them. What did you say Buffalo was?
9-1.
9-1. I don't see how they can be higher than Philadelphia. I just don't see it.
I don't see it either. That conference is too good. The division is too good. And even last year, they struggled with some of the teams in the division, including the Jets.
Yep.
So it's a tough number. And then our favorites right now, the Kansas City Chiefs, 6-1.
I was going to guess that. Yeah, that's right. That feels right.
I'm kind of surprised it's not higher or lower.
I'm surprised. I would agree with you because of the way people literally are worshiping, Patrick Mahomes and that team right now. But I think Patrick Mahomes is a generational player. There's no question about that. He's Dan Marino with mobility. I mean, he may end up being the best quarterback of all time. He may end up being there. Yeah. 6-1. I wouldn't go any higher than that, though.
I wouldn't go higher than that, but I still think that's actually pretty decent value. Like if you take the same 2 Super Bowl teams that we had last year, the Chiefs and the Eagles, and you just put $50 on both of those teams, got a pretty good feeling that at least one of those 2 is going to be in the Super Bowl again.
They lost their left tackle. They lost their right tackle. I know they re-signed the Jaguars right tackle, or signed the Jaguars right tackle, but continuity on the offensive line is a thing.
They did lose Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yep. They still have Jerick McKinnon for now, correct? Mm-hmm. Nobody signed Jared. They have an opportunity to have Jerick McKinnon.
Which I gotta believe he'll be back.
I think he'll be back as well. Man, it's interesting. I think, if we're talking about the elite teams here, I see good odds at 7-5-4, man. Dallas, Cincinnati, and Philly. I think that's where you go. I think you avoid the Jets. That was our 6th team at 12-1 odds.
Mm-hmm.
I think you avoid Buffalo at 9-1 odds. Detroit, Kansas City, and San Francisco all feel right on the money to me.
I agree. And I'll say for me, my favorite long shot, kind of like the Saints at 40-1, just because the division is so bad. And I do like that roster. And if Derek Carr can be, again, the 14th best quarterback in the league, who knows?
Carolina's winning the division. I think I'm leaning towards a Cincinnati, San Francisco Super Bowl. I think that's what last year I thought it was going to be the Chargers and San Francisco.
You've also been wishing for the Super Bowl for 3 years now. So let's just be honest.
That's my final thought. Give me yours.
We had a Ben Roethlisberger story come out this week that I wanted your thoughts on. I know Ben's been retired, but Ben said that he almost missed, I think, was it Super Bowl 37, the one they played the Packers. I'm going to read you the story. He said, we were playing shuffleboard, and we would throw the shuffleboard down, and we would run down and slide across the wood floor to watch the thing come down. As I slid on the floor, a piece of wood got up into my foot. I had the doctors look at it. They had to take shards out of my foot. It was like a really bad splinter. I had to wear a bigger size shoe. And I remember telling Mike, I might not be able to play today. Is that the most heroic quarterback performance we've ever seen, to overcome an injury like that?
Well, first of all, are we talking about the full-size shuffleboard, or are we just talking about the little wood one at the end of the bar? Because if you're climbing up on the table and sliding down the table, how do you avoid the thing that you guys? So I assume it would have to be the full-size one, right? But the full-size shuffleboard is not played on wood. So I'm not understanding this story. Did he climb up onto a shuffleboard table and slide on it?
He said, I slid across the floor on a piece of wood shank about this long, and it broke off onto my foot.
Okay, so I guess they were playing full-size shuffleboard on wood. I've never played full-size shuffleboard on wood before. Only the little mini bar game. By the way, Super Bowl 37 was Tampa Bay Raiders, so it must be 45 you're talking about, right?
45. The
Packers Steelers. Yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I got a little thrown off there. Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised Roethlisberger didn't come out before the game and say, "Hey, I'm just doing this for my team."
I just love the quote at the end. I looked at Mike Tomlin and said, "I don't know if I can play."
Yeah. How'd you like my idea? I think we should tweak some more things in the NFL because it hasn't been successful enough. Let's tweak it some more. I mean, why don't we have do you like the Mike Tomlin award to go on honors night?
Sure. Why not? Why not just add another goalpost, further beyond it? And if you can kick through the first one and the second one, you get 4 points rather than 3.
Yeah, it'd be so cool. So I think you kind of like my LinkedIn idea. What's better than being able to apply for jobs and network with people while you're watching 2 cruddy playoff teams play in a tournament they probably should have made?
Last thing before we go. Is there a TV channel or a device, like a streaming device, where you'd be like, you know what? I love the NFL, but I'm not watching you on Tinder.
Tinder, a streaming device now?
I don't know.
I don't even want to know what they'd be streaming on Tinder.
Pick a streaming device. Where you're like, I'm not signing up for this. If it's on Paramount Plus, are you getting it to watch a game?
Well, since you asked me, Paramount Plus is actually my favorite.
All right. Well, that was a bad example.
Yeah, but is Disney going to get a game to go with the Mandalorian? 100%.
I think that's already in motion. I'm pretty sure we're going to have one next year. I'm not joking, by the way.
Great. It's going to be 8 teams, and they're going to get the last wild card game. It's going to be between an 8 and 9 team or 7 and 10 team.
The play-in game. That's what we'll have. We'll have a play-in game.
Play-in game. It's going to be Darnold, Mayfield hits the NFL on Disney. Yes. Great.
Nickelodeon.
Oh gosh.
I love it. Don't give the NFL any ideas to make money. They'll do it.
Now look, if Turner Classic Movies was going to do something, I might be for it. But anyway, all right.
That's it.
TCM, I know you're not familiar. It's okay. Look, I got serious video gaming to do. I've got to, go talk to all these people and these cut screens that they do. I know you know what I'm talking about.
I know. We got Wing Night to go to, so let's go.
Yeah. All right. So, that's right. I'm supposed to wrap up the show. Sorry. That counts as Marcus's final thought. So you can catch him on Locked On Cowboys, the best Cowboys podcast out there. He also covers the Raiders for USA Today, brought a lot of insight about the Raiders into this discussion, except not at all. And then also he writes for Pro Football Focus.com. He's at Marcus_Mosher on Twitter. I'm at Harrison NFL on Twitter. We thank the good people over at Brinks. The rundown looked absolutely fantastic today. Thank you, Courtney. See you guys.